1868, the forces of Choshu and Satsuma, together with Hizen and Tosa, took over Japan, and a new period started. This is the picture of the last shogun, who lived, by the way, until 1907 in his residence in Hamamatsu. And the new country completed. Because I don't have so much time, I'll go straight to the anatomy of the Han. Now the question is, I mentioned at the beginning of my talk that there were about 270 Hans in Japan at the Edo period. But out of these 270 Hans, only 2 Han took the sword and decided to fight and take actions against the Bakufu. Why? Why only Choshu and Satsuma decided to change the system and succeeded? Why not any other of the 270 Hans? Of course, Tosa and Hizen a little bit, but not so much. Choshu and Han, out of the 270 Hans, were those who decided to take arm and change Japan. Why? And here there are a few explanations, and we have to go a bit deeper into the history of the Han. The first is that both Choshu and Satsuma were big Hans. Not big Hans in terms of land, but big Hans in terms of rice production. And as we know, rice production is very important, not only for the food, because it was the basic unit of currency during the Edo period. So as you can see, Kagoshima, this is the Satsuma Han, was the second biggest Han in terms of rice production, and where is it? Yeah, Choshu Hagi was number 7. But these are formal records. Some estimations say that actually the production was higher. If you have higher production of rice, what does it mean? It means you can support bigger army. Okay? So those were 2 big Hans. And if you have more money, you have more income, you can support bigger army. So this is only one reason. The second reason, that in Satsuma and Choshu, there was an especially high rate of samurai. As we know, during the Edo period, the social structure was divided into farmers, which included the majority of the population, approximately 80%. You had the samurais at the top, which were about 7% in average, and you had the choni, right, the merchants and shokunin-san in between, and of course those without. So, but only in Choshu and Satsuma, you had an especially high portions of samurai within the population. While the land's average was 7%, in Satsuma, we're talking about no less than 25% of the population was samurais. And in Choshu, I think the numbers are about between 10 and 15%, right? Which is higher rate of samurai. If you have more samurai within the population, what does it mean? You have more soldiers, you have more people interested in military affairs, and not only in military affairs, also in terms of morality, right? Another thing that you find in Satsuma and in Choshu was a very deep and long historical animosity towards the Tokugawa. They did not forget what Tokugawa did to them in the Battle of Sekigahara, and they remembered it. And mothers used to say to their sons, do not forget what Tokugawa did to us in Sekigahara. In some places, including Choshu, people used to sleep with their legs towards Edo as a sign of contempt. Okay? In Hagi, there used to be a special ceremony When the daimyo, the Mori daimyo, came back from Edo following the Sankin Kotai, they used to accept him in a special ceremony. And the oldest samurai would come to receive the daimyo, the Mori daimyo coming back from Edo. And once he met him, he came, and of course, I guess he said, "Welcome back, Yokoso," or something. But then he told him, "Is it time to destroy the Tokugawa Bakufu?" And for 267 years, every year, the Mori daimyo said, "Mada desu," not yet. Maybe he also said, "Mo chotto matte kudasai." But in 1867, for the first time, the time has come to say, yes, it is time. So this historical animosity is very important. We know, as Israelis, how important hate is in generating national power, right? So this hate was a very strong resource in fighting against the Bakufu. And the last thing, and here I comes to the secret of Choshu. The last thing is that, as the mayor mentioned, there was a big interest in military affairs in Choshu and in Satsuma. In Satsuma, especially naval affairs. Meidinkan, the academy, Meidinkan Academy that the mayor mentioned, was a famous military academy throughout Japan. And people from other hands came to study military strategy. There was a big interest in military affairs in Choshu and in Satsuma. But in Choshu, they did something even more. They decided to start an experiment, which was considered as a complete madness at the time. And the experiment was to try to take farmers, not samurais, give them swords, teach them how to fight, and the result was very surprising. The result was that if you take a farmer who is not a samurai, you give him good weapons, you give him good guidance, he will become a good soldier. Nobody believed this. Because the idea was that if you are not a samurai, you can never be a good soldier. You know? It's like, how can a cow be a chicken, right? Or chicken be a cow, right? It's completely different things. And they did it in units called Kiheitai and Shotai, which are mixed units. So the commanders used to be samurais, and some of the soldiers used to be farmers. And you know what? It was very successful. Because the samurai, the mixed units, managed to win against the Bakufu professional army made only of samurais. Okay? So this experiment worked very successfully. And this is one of the secrets for Choshu winning the war. What happened later on? Well, many things happened, but I would like to show only one thing. Yes, this is the Mori daimyo, because I don't have so much time, but I will continue with this issue of military affairs. So, one of the first decisions of the Meiji government was what kind of army, what kind of military to form in Japan. Should the military be united or divided? And the choice was united. And it was also the first time in history that Japan only had one army. Japan never had one army. Okay? But this was an easy decision. So the army must be united under one command. The second decision was harder. And the second decision was, should the soldiers come from all ranks of society, including farmers, or should it only be samurais? And here there was a conflict between Satsuma and Choshu. In Satsuma, they wanted only samurais, because they had 25% of the population samurais, they needed to get job for that. In Choshu, because of this experiment with the Kietai, they decided not only samurai, should be also soldiers from other backgrounds as well. And the person who actually formed the Japanese modern military is this person, Omura Masujiro, who we saw his statue. Where did we see this statue?
Yasukuni.
Yasukuni, right. You remember we went to Yasukuni Shrine on August 15, and we met after 7 hours. Our meeting point was his statue. So he has his statue. But what happened to him? He was murdered by an angry samurai from Satsuma. Angry about the recruitment from different parts. But his protege, the person who continued him, is this person, Yamagata Aritomo. Yamagata Aritomo replaced Omura as the minister of the army, and under his leadership, Japan united the country under one army from different backgrounds. Hagi, specifically in Choshu in large, continued to play a very decisive role in the new Meiji government. You can see that this is the Meiji oligarchy. The people, the leaders, approximately 30 leaders, 40 leaders who were the main decision-making in the 60s, 70s, and 80s of Japan. And as you can see, a big part of them came from Choshu. We have managed to unveil some of the mystery around Hagi and some of the secrets around what makes Hagi so famous and why such a small place played such an important role in the transformation of modern Japan, and why I insisted that we will come here